Hi there, Dan West again. Got a real different project today. My wife's nephew Brent Mevele called, and he asked me if I could do something for him in regards to trimming out a truck with some oak. And I was thinking, wood on the sides, what, you mean like a woody? And I'm thinking, man, there's no way I can get involved with something like that right now. And so the way the conversation went, I didn't quite understand. I was thinking it was more than what I want to get into. So I said no. Then I got to thinking about it. And so I didn't really fully understand really what it was. So, see, Brent and his dad, Jeff Mevele, are into antique cars, popped up, whatever. They both have trucks, vintage era, that type of stuff. And they go to car club. In fact, they're going to something this weekend. Over 700 cars and trucks, what have you. So I called him back and said, yeah, okay, well, what is it exactly, And the way he sounded, it wasn't that complicated. Just kind of an idea in the head, no plans, nothing. And it's for his boss's truck. I said, well, can we do it tomorrow? And I said, well, which is today, Saturday. I said, yeah, let's just do it and get it done, And so I have no idea what it was. Came over, nice, beautiful 54 Chevy Tuck, yellow, my favorite color. Anyways, that's what this video is about. I'm sure I didn't get as many really good videos I would have liked to have got in there, Again, setting up and getting the right thing. And I'm doing this with an iPad, and that's it. I don't have any fancy equipment. Definitely don't have any lighting to speak of. But I hope maybe you can kind of get something out of it. It was a different build. I've worked on boats and motorhomes. First time I worked on a truck like this, on a truck bed. And again, it wasn't a lot of wood. It's just a very, very simple little trim off the side panels of the pickup part of the truck. So it was nothing really as involved as I thought it would be. But then again, it still takes time to do this and that. And like I said, all my videos are for the guys who are like me in a small shop, and you spend more time moving your machines around and setting up and putting away during a day's work than you do really getting the thing done. You're not being able to go to one machine after another, and assembly station, and then your planer and your table saw, whatever. It's not that way for us. So what he thought might have took maybe a couple hours, it took most of the day. So it's 4 o'clock now. I just got done putting everything away, and that's it. So I will see you later. So this is my wife's little baby nephew, little tiny Brent. Mountain of a man, I tell you.
What's up, Danny?
How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
And whose truck is this? Your boss?
It's my boss's. It's a 46 or 47 Chevy.
That is really something. And so we're going to try to do a little work on this morning. Look at this thing. Wow. I've worked on boats. It'll be the first time in motorhomes. It'll be the first time on a truck. Now this vintage, what a beauty. This is really beautiful. What a beautiful vehicle this is. Yeah, Brett and his dad, Jeff, my wife's brother, they are into vintage vehicles. They both have trucks, and I haven't seen Brent's yet. But well, this is going to be fun. We'll see what happens here. Okay, here I'm not going to bore you with a lot of these things, but again, this is a real simple little build here. But we've already ripped the oak on my table saw, and I'm just now setting it through the thickness planner to get a set dimension that's consistent with all of them, and that's really all this is about. What it is, we're going to have two of these. I'm ripping this down to, or planing this down to 3.5 inches, and there's going to be two of them on each side. One going the full length of the bed, and one going about 2/3 the length of the bed. And it's going to have a little detail at the trailing end, and it's going to go into those 2 by 1.5 inch square holes in the bed sides, and that's what we're going for. It's not real complicated, but that's what this little thing is all about. So, and I hope you kind of enjoy seeing what it's going to look like. Again, it's real simple. But I'll tell you what, it took a lot of tools to make. You still got to round corners, and like here, I'm getting all the same dimension. Had to rip them on a saw, and just details that sometimes maybe someone might think about, but it does help if you got machines. And other than that, that's what this little section is showing, and we'll kind of move on to something else here. Okay. Well, here we are. We're doing some finish work here on these boards. Now I've done the detail cutting on the end, which is just two circular finishes at the end, and I'm just taking the file, trying to get them the saw marks from the jigsaw. You know how the wood gets all chewed up, and just kind of smoothing it out, and then Brent sticking the sander to it, and sanding all faces of the boards, and that's really about it. I'm telling you right now about the Festool. He's using the Festool, my Festool sander. That's the only sander I have. I said, really, it's the best sander. It's the old makeup of the old Rockwell. We used to call Chromie. Rockwell made all the tools out here years ago, just before Makita came in. Makita was the one that put them under. Makita was able to sell their tools so cheap. They get subsidized by their government, and they got the market. Rockwell had to end their power tool division, but it was a good sander, and that's the exact same model. Like you say, we call it chromic. It was like a chrome body, and so Festool made a copy like that, and it's a very, very good sander. That's the only Festool I have. I was telling him earlier about when I was in France, we had a lot of Festool. I used the track saws, and we also had the Festool drill and screw gun. I hated them. Short and compact, but they were heavy, and I just thought, and they really weren't much better than anything else. I had Makitas. We all finally, asked to get rid of them. Some of the guys were throwing the drills and the screw guns on the ground, trying to break them too. So yeah, they'd be forced to buy new ones. I didn't do that, but guys are going to do what they do, and we finally end up, getting all Makita, screw guns and drill motors, which really were better, so much better. So that's what this is all about, and we'll kind of end that here and kind of move on, okay? So here I am at the little router table, and just doing a round, round over on the edges, running all of them to finish them off that way. And here now, you're going to see I'm going to be having trouble through all this because for some reason something's catching, and I'm not exactly sure what it was, but I just figured, well, it's just rounding over. I'm not going to mess with it too much. It's not a really critical thing. And believe me, all rocking you see, still everything came out fine because the round over bit's got a ball bearing on it. My two fences were fairly close. But if I would have put a piece of MDF on this face like I've talked about in another video, I would not have this problem. This is another reason why I say putting a false front, or whatever you want to call a front, on your actual machine fences eliminates this. Whatever could be catching, if it's my little backer board, you're pushing the ends through, or an unevenness with the two fences. When you've got a solid piece going across there, it rides on that solid piece of MDF all the way through the operation. You don't have any rocking and tilting back and forth, and it takes time. A lot of shops, time is money, for the boss, and you're not, messing around with the little kicks and everything. Here, I got the little router table like a shaper table where you're just using the spindle. And again, you got a ball bearing, it's no big deal, but, you get some of these big machines, that can be pretty scary, but I've got a little block there to help guide it to the cutter and eliminate as much tear out as possible that could happen. And they all came out real nice, so it wasn't really a problem. But again, you got to kind of be careful where you put your hands, your fingers. It's very close proximity, and you got to be aware of it all the time. You can make a little slip. You don't pay attention and reach to grab something or whatever, and boom, next you know, you're cut. So I can't stress that enough that when a shaper is being used in this way, there's no way to guard except you've got to develop good work habits. So that you're not putting yourself in harm's way. And we're talking about your fingers, your hands. So that's just about all I've got to say about this, and we'll kind of move on from here. And here, this brief bit of video showing you I'm climb cutting there, and now I'm conventional cutting. And that's how you take a stick like that. You climb cut first, get that end done, and then conventional. Climb cutting is going with the direction, the rotation of the cutter. The conventional is going against it. Normally, always you go against it. But in this sense, you want to drag it away from the tip of the router bit. So both ends are going away from the bit, and one way is conventional, the other is climb cutting. And that's a little explanation of what that is right there. And I hope you get something out of that. Okay, baby, you're on. Here we go. This is what this is all about here. My boy Brett is going to put it on his buddy's truck. And this is what it's going to look like here.
There it is.
There
looking pretty.
There we go. Here's the old truck. And he's going to put some boiled linseed oil on that. And that little thing comes up 1/4 of an inch off that bed that you see there. Right now it's just into a dry fit. He'll go in there later. And in the bed, he's going to drill a hole right there to fasten it in place and clean. All right, that's what it looks like. Did all that in 34 minutes. There we go. Got my boy. A little more detail on this. Okay. Very clean looking. No visible signs of screws, nails, just oak. Alright, that's the way we like it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little video. It's again, it's not a really challenging piece of work. Just a few little pieces of oak decorative touch on a vintage vehicle. It was a fun job to do. I enjoyed immensely working with my nephew there, and we had a good time. And he's a good worker. By the way, he's an electrician. He does heavy duty high voltage stuff. So he's quite a tradesman in his own right. Works with big panels, heavy loads on them. So he does he has a pretty dangerous job himself, and you got to know a lot to do that. And again, we had a good time. Everything went safe. Everything went well. And as you can see, it wasn't involved in a lot of real, super skilled work. But yet, you still had to know a little bit. And a lot of times, the little simple jobs are the ones you can really mess up the most, because you take advantage. They're so simple. You almost don't quite pay attention, and next thing you know, you're trying to redo something, or you broke something, or you messed something up. So other than that, I hope you had some interest in it, and I hope maybe you'll learn something from it. Again, the videos I make are for beginners and whatnot, and maybe some of you people have maybe trucks like that. You might want to do something to it. Come up with your own design, and it can be done real easy. And have fun with it, and work safe. And like I always say, if you can, go in the shop, do something today, work safe, and as always, don't use anybody. Okay? Bye bye. Have a good one. See you in the next one.